What more can I say about South Park that hasn't been said already? It's one of the most irreverent, crazy, yet controversial, and madcap piece of animation we have ever seen. It can be quite infamous, it can divide fans, it can, well, have people not really caring for the show, but it just doesn't matter. South Park is definitely something that you can either like with a passion, feel kind of indifferent to, or you could just completely hate. But no matter what South Park thinks, it definitely just doesn't really give a damn and just really enjoys what it likes to do. But it also manages to have some moments of brilliance, and it does so pretty well. And you really have to hand it to Trey Parker and Matt Stone for really putting something like South Park on the airwaves and really coming up with very interesting material to really put on these main four characters, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny, and just really make them go through a lot of madcap adventures, a lot of crazy stuff happening, and it's just a very crazy show. But with my personal experience with it, it's definitely fun. You may not like it, you may like it, it doesn't matter. There's always something to enjoy every single once in a while. So with that said, since it's the holidays, I'll be taking a look at their very first Christmas specials, basically wrapped up into one very first pilot, The Spirit of Christmas, starting with 1992's Frosty vs. Jesus, and with 1995's Jesus vs. Santa. So both of their premises start out well. I mean, you have the four main kids in Frosty vs. Jesus building up a snowman, but somewhere along the line it comes to life, attacks the kids, kills off Cartman and Kenny, and it's up to Kyle and Stan to call in the aid of the baby Jesus to fight off Frosty the zombie snowman. It ends well, and basically they said that presents are pretty much what make the holiday special. We do get that similar formula in Jesus vs. Santa, which is basically the one I've been constantly watching ever since I was a very impressionable 16-year-old high schooler. But I still managed to enjoy it. I really love the opening scene with Kyle, Cartman, Kenny, and Stan singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas," and then Stan proceeds to ask Kyle why is he singing this Christmas song, and asks him that he's Jewish. So Kyle then proceeds to sing the dreidel song, which pisses off, well, Stan, and kind of also pisses off Cartman, and then Kyle gets pissed off, calls Cartman an effing fat ass, and it's just quite hilarious to see the banter between both Kyle and Cartman. It's really that hilarious. Jesus comes in, and Jesus and Santa have a fight, and it's very much hilarious, and they basically make peace, and Kyle, Cartman, and Stan leave the scene where they sing the dreidel song. Now, when you look back at these things, they definitely have something very special to really bring South Park to what it is today. Let me just tell you that looking back at 1992's Frosty vs. Jesus, I was not really too impressed with the animation. I mean, it did not look really good compared to the final product. But I have to say that it was a pretty simple story, and it was kind of interesting. And then you get 1995's Jesus vs. Santa, in which the animation looked slightly better in terms of the character designs, and it would eventually lead to 2 years later in which it would look a lot more polished, for lack of a better word. So when it came to these two Christmas specials, they were very enjoyable, and yes, they may not be the greatest Christmas specials ever, but they have their own unique charm and their own sense of likability and humor to really put them on the map of what really made South Park the way it is. Well, that's all for this look back on the spirit of Christmas from South Park, And stay tuned where I also look back on yet another adult animated show, Moral Orel, with the best Christmas ever. Stay tuned for that, everybody.